So, the latest topic via donation of a friend is bestiality, or let me put it in exact words, if you will. Possession with pretending to be animals when having sex. Well, we are animals, despite what we pretend to be otherwise. We as humans like to separate ourselves because of our sentience or because of our cognition. We like to separate ourselves from the rest of the animal species, but the fact is, if you examine our brain, for example, it has many layers, and there's a sort of a legacy layer of the reptilians, which makes up our I don't know what it's called, but it's the center core of the brain that controls breathing and heart rate and all of that. And then you slowly evolve in the human brain even into more advanced layers as the mammalian species has advanced. It's very interesting, the fact that we have a sort of legacy equipment in the hardware of our brain. It's as if our brain were a computer. Nowadays we might have SD3 RAM, and yet we still have the legacy support for an older sort of SD1 RAM. It's very interesting, the comparisons one can make between a modern computer and a human brain, but perhaps that's more than coincidence. But if so, that'd be a topic for another day. Let's see, I need to get back on topic here, and that's the whole obsession with pretending to be animals when having sex. What's that? The original meaning of furries. Well, if you consider, this is funny because I mentioned being a furry in an earlier video, but if you consider furries in the most basic concept of the fact, really it's closer acceptance of humanity being closer to animals. On the other hand, it could be considered delusion because certain people associate with certain species more than others. I myself, I consider my persona, some people call it a fursona, which is a furry persona, closer to that of a coyote. It might be actual, based on physical evidence or mental evidence, or it might just be cognitive delusion to choose to place myself closer to a coyote. But different people, they identify themselves more closely in regards to their fursona or persona to different animals. And this is true whether you're in the furry society or not. I mean, if you look around you, and then there's in society, whether or not you identify with the furry society, your certain mental aspect, your persona, is more identifiable with one creature or another, depending on how you behave. If you're very timid and you're prone to running away from your problems, then, just an example, maybe you're closer to a rabbit. You know, if you're more prone to facing your problems head on and being patient, then maybe you're closer to a bear or something. And these are just examples, but when it comes to the furry society, it's more about accepting, or maybe it's more about lying to yourself to make yourself feel more comfortable. But in either case, you identify yourself with a certain animal. And there's a certain comfort to be found in that, saying, I feel like I'm more at home with coyotes or rabbits or wolves or dogs or even foxes or birds, whatever you may have. Go ahead, it's okay. Sorry, I had to check my time there. The furry fandom, for lack of a better word, is extremely interesting in this aspect of those who do identify themselves with certain animals. But your original question was really it was about obsession with pretending to be males when having sex, and a certain sexual preoccupation with that. I don't know how to put it. For example, I've never had sex with another furry. I've never had sex, period. I'm a virgin. Horror, I know. But, ignoring all that social pretense, I never had sex with another furry, so I can't explicitly comment on this, but I can speculate to the best of my knowledge, and speculation, there's a certain quality to it when you give yourself over to the animals, like perception of it. You're letting go of all the spiritual and emotional preconceptions that come with sex as a human being, and you're letting go of those, and you're experiencing sexual activity in the purest physical animal sense of the form, and it's very, I would imagine it's very liberating to let go of all the emotional and psychological bullshit that comes along with sex as a human being. You discard all of that, you let go of all of that, and you enjoy the pure physical aspect of it. And I would assume, depending on what species, for lack of a better word, you identified yourself with, you would have a certain tint to that sexual experience. It's basically a way to enjoy a sexual experience without all the emotional baggage that comes along with being a human being when it comes to sex. It's purely for physical enjoyment. I suppose if you really wanted to get down to it, it'd be a way to divorce yourself from the psychological aspect and to indulge yourself with the physical aspect, the pure physical sensation of sexual activity. I don't know how to describe it in words. It's very animalistic. It's giving yourself, it's allowing yourself to experience it in purely animalistic terms, because we as human beings are mammals, we are animals, and that we tend to wrap ourselves up in these psychological attitudes. When it comes to furry sex, when it comes to yiff, I love that yiff. When it comes to furry sex, I think it's more about the physical experience and achieving the pure enjoyment of that physical experience without shame, without regret, without all the worries that come with the cognition of it, being a human. Just letting go of the human aspect of it and purely enjoying the animalistic aspect. I don't see anything wrong with that. I really don't. It seems perfectly enjoyable to me. I don't see why we shouldn't be able to distinguish between the two. On a certain aspect, it's for breeding and getting children, but we cannot deny that sex is enjoyable, extremely enjoyable. And on that aspect, it's a very animalistic thing outside of the human perception. I don't see anything wrong with that, and I think that furries tend to embrace that animalistic aspect more than other cultures are able to. So when it comes to sex, I think that, in a sense, furries are more enlightened than other social groups, because they're able to let go of the human aspect of it. But I don't know that I have anything more to say about it. The whole obsession with pretending to be animals when having sex, to get really right down to the issue, pretending to be an animal, well, experiencing the animalistic aspect of sexuality, really, it's really a liberating experience. And it really it allows you to let go of the humanistic perception, the humanistic consequences, the humanistic worries of sexuality, the humanistic preconceptions of sexuality, and just experience the physical act as it is. Experience as a pure physical experience. I think that's why it's so attractive to furries. That's why it's such a big why sexual experience is such a big thing in the furry fandom when it really comes down to it. I think it's because letting yourself go, letting all your shame and all your preconceptions about sexuality go, and just enjoying the pure physical experience of it is a very liberating thing. And I think humanity as a whole could probably learn something about that from the furry fandom, as much as they love to condemn, furries. I think we'd probably all be better off if we saw sex as some of the furry fandom, perceive sex as a purely animalistic thing, as a purely physical expression of joy and pleasure. There's nothing wrong with pleasure. So, despite what society likes to tell us that pleasure is the evil, I believe quite the opposite. And I think we could all learn something when it comes from the furry fandom in the terms of animalistic sex. I think we could definitely learn something about allowing ourselves to simply have pure animalistic pleasure. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. So rather than condemning it, I think we should look at it, observe it, and take from it what is beneficial.